Okay, if we can begin making our way to our seats, we're going to get started promptly at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Well, good evening, Juniata. How's everybody doing? Good? Okay, we're going to spark the energy here in just a minute. Good evening, Juniata. How is everybody doing? Excellent. That's better. That's better. I want to point out to our live stream cameras out there, good evening, everybody watching out on YouTube land, our live stream. It's great to have all of you with us as well here in Alumni Hall on this day of February 17, 2026. My name is Jim Troha. I'm the president here at Juniata College, and it is always awesome to spend time with all of you for this inspiring event, particularly as we celebrate 150 years of Juniata College. The Bailey, as you may know, is Juniata's oldest academic tradition. It's named after a former President Judge of Huntingdon County, John M. Bailey. This tradition celebrates and lifts up the importance of civil discourse, critical thinking, and committing to be a citizen of this world. Values have been part of this institution since our founding in 1876. This year marks 116 years of the Bailey, which is just terrific. And part of this tradition, as I look to my left, is the antique Loving Cup Trophy, which holds the names of our previous winners. In addition to their name being added to that trophy, our winner tonight will take home a cool $1,000 for their efforts. Second place, $700, and third place, $500. We have some unique traditions here at JC, and they are all great. But many of you know that the Bailey might just be my favorite. I always leave here in awe of our students and our community. I walk out of this space every February, early March, feeling encouraged about our future. I'm often inspired and motivated to act, to be a better Juniatian, a better colleague, a better citizen, a better human being. And it emerges from all of you, our Bailey finalists. Thank you for your passion, your courage, and conviction, your wisdom, your interest, and sharing your story with all of us. I recently received an article from a colleague here at the college. Her name is Hannah Schell. She's relatively new. She's from our Advancement Alumni Engagement Office. I don't know if Hannah's in the room. I'll embarrass her if she is. I don't know why she shared this, but I think part of the reason was that this article articulated something that we already know, and I think we do a damn good job of. The article was entitled, "Character Formation is More Than a Nostalgic Add-on." That was the title of the article. It was written by a law professor at BYU, her name is Shima Bauman, and it's about what's happening or perhaps what's not happening in our classrooms in higher education today. The article talks about the virtues associated with what she called human flourishing. She mentions character, humility, courage, faith, sacrifice, what she calls a disciplined practice of forgiveness. She goes on to say that character formation is not and should not be a nostalgic add-on to education, but rather central to its legitimacy. She goes on, and I quote, "Academic institutions will increasingly become obsolete if we fail to recognize that our most important task is not merely to produce skilled workers or clever critics, but it is to send students into the world with better character than when they arrived," end quote. In my humble opinion, when I read that article, that is what tonight is all about. Our students are our teachers tonight, and we get to benefit from their lived experiences, from their courage, from their wisdom, their perspective. And so thank you, students, again, for leading by example and leaning into the values that have helped shape Juniata for the past 150 years. All of this doesn't happen without the tremendous support of our faculty. And I want to particularly lift up Dr. Lynn Cockett, Dr. Sarah Worley, and Dr. Rob Lazan. Can you please join me in thanking them for all of their work for tonight's activities. It also goes without saying that we are all missing still Dr. Donna Weimer, who passed away a little more than a year ago. Professor Emeritus here at Juniata, Department of Communications. I know she is watching from above, and she's also saying to me right now, shut the hell up, Troha, and get this show on the road. So Donna, here we go. You ready, audience? Our contestants will be addressing the prompt, which is like a river, shaped by time yet ever moving forward. Juniata's story reflects both change and continuity. Drawing from this legacy, its people, values, traditions, and transformation, consider what lessons from our past we should carry forward to meet the challenges of the next 150 years. What future should Juniata strive to create for its students, for higher education, and for the world? Once again, thank you, finalists. Thank you to our judges. And thank you, JC, for being here tonight for this extraordinary evening. It's my pleasure to turn the program over to Provost Bowen. Lauren?
Good evening. You did better for the president, I'm just saying. Good evening. As you heard the president say, this is really a special evening because the Bailey represents this tradition of academic excellence and what it means to be an educational institution. And I just wanted to offer my academic welcome to all of you as well, because I think the Bailey Oratorical really represents the best of Juniata, and not just Juniata academics. It is inherently interdisciplinary in the sense that it is open to every student on this campus. And the students from whom you're going to hear this evening come from a variety of programs of emphasis. They're going to draw on their educational experience from across disciplinary traditions. It's fundamentally experiential. If our essence is being able to put knowledge into action and theory into practice, they're going to challenge us to do that. And the Bailey, of course, is grounded in our academic mission, to the use of evidence to offer a perspective, designed to inform, but also to persuade. And you can't persuade without an audience. And so it means we're in community, which of course is one of our hallmark values. The Bailey, I think, underscores the power of words to illuminate, challenge, and inspire. And I am confident tonight's speeches will surely do all that. They will be a call to action as we celebrate our 150th, as we draw on 150 years of tradition and think about how to propel ourselves forward. More than that, I think it's an opportunity for us to imagine and to appeal to our best selves, our optimistic natures. But more than that, if optimism is a belief in positive progress, a sense of hope, and an underscoring of our own agency and our own ability to affect change in this world. Or in the words of the poet Maya Angelou, words mean more than what is set down on paper. It takes the human voice to infuse them with a deeper meaning. That's what our finalists will do for us this evening, and so I too would like to congratulate and thank them. Please join me in another round of applause for tonight's Bailey contestants. And please join me in welcoming Dr. Sarah Worley, our Director of Community Engaged Teaching and Learning, Professor of Communication, without whose leadership tonight would not be possible.
Good evening. Thank you, President Troja and Provost Bowen. On behalf of my colleagues in the Communication Department, I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you, both those of you who are here with us in person and as well as those viewing through the live stream. Shout out to Lillian Case, who just texted me that she's watching. And my family is watching too. We are really thrilled you are all here to join us for this beloved Juniata tradition. The Bailey Oratorical really is more than just a contest. It's one of our oldest traditions, as you've heard, and more importantly, a testament to the importance of free speech in shaping our shared future. This year's prompt was inspired by our 150th anniversary, and we are honored that the Bailey Oratorical is officially recognized as one of those signature events in this year-long celebration. Over 20 students participated in the preliminary round of the Bailey a little over a week ago. They came from across disciplines and departments. They courageously shared their responses to this year's prompt, and it was really amazing. The lengths they went to, the interviewing of alumni, the poring over yearbooks. I mean, they've really invested so much time and energy into understanding who Juniata is, where we've come from, and we want to say kudos to all of you who participated in that preliminary round. We had 3 fantastic Juniata alumni who volunteered 9 hours that day. They listened closely, they deliberated carefully, and they selected our 7 finalists tonight. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank those preliminary judges for their willingness to give that time. Allie Goulden, Calvin Bembry, and Teresa Josen, all class of 2019. Please give them a round of applause. I also would like to take a moment to acknowledge the good work of many talented staff members here at Juniata who helped to make this night possible. Allie Sones, my right and my left hand most of the time, Zach Foltz, Nate Orick, Tom McLean, the marketing team, and our fantastic facilities and catering crew. Their work tonight is very much appreciated and makes this kind of event possible. So help me in thanking them as well. All right, so I'm going to explain to you how the process is going to work this evening. So before we begin the speeches, a couple of things. First, please make sure your phones are silenced if you haven't already. I'd like to make sure we've eliminated any distraction that might sort of interrupt the speeches. And I want to make a few more introductions as well. The judges we have this evening, 3 brand new judges who are hearing these speeches for the first time, are joining us tonight, and they again represent Juniata alumni from different eras and fields whose lives of purpose and impact reflect the kind of lasting impact that a Juniata education can have. So if you wouldn't mind standing when I say your name first, I'll introduce Dustin G., class of 2010. Dustin is the head of talent acquisition and enablement for the Americas at Takata with more than a decade of experience across higher education, technology, and biopharma. He's a proud Juniata College alum and a 2008 Bailey Contest winner. He was also a Fulbright U.S. Student Fellow after he graduated from Juniata. So thank you, Dustin, for being here. Beside Dustin is Joy Hadley, class of 1984. Joy is a member of the Juniata College Board of Trustees and a retired senior federal executive who spent her career at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. She culminated her service as director of the Office of Lender Activities and Program Compliance, overseeing national lender compliance, risk management, and enforcement. So she brings valuable perspective on that sort of space of public service. Bob McDowell, class of 1967, spent 22 years with Coopers and Livrand, rising to senior partner and U.S. National Director of Human Resources before leading a global executive coaching firm. He also served for more than 2 decades on the Juniata College Board of Trustees, including as board chair. Thank you very much to all of you. Welcome back to campus. Many ask and have wondered, what are the judges looking for? How does this all work? What are they deliberating over to determine tonight's winning speeches? Speakers are going to be evaluated on their overall effectiveness and ability to present a well-supported, original, and compelling argument that is timely, audience-centered, and delivered effectively. No small task. At the end of the speeches, the judges will leave the room to deliberate and select tonight's winners. The in-person audience here in the room will have a chance to vote for the People's Choice Award. All of those will be announced at the end of that sort of intermission period when the judges return. We'll tell you who the winners of all those things are. So please stay, have some cookies, come back, and hear the final outcome. Without any further ado, let me introduce you to tonight's speakers and the order in which they will present. First, we have Ethan Achmoody. Ethan will be followed by Adithia Comey. Okay. No, actually, I'm sorry, I did that in the wrong order. Rewind, start over. Okay, so we have Ethan Achmoody, we have Danny McCauley. There we go. We have John V. Patel. Drew Perhamus. Chase Swain. Adithia Comey. And last but not least, Nicole Montes Perez. To our speakers, we admire your courage. You each bring a unique perspective to this year's topic, and tonight you have the opportunity to inspire us, to challenge us, and to captivate us with your words. To the audience, as we listen to tonight's speeches, let us do so with an open heart, an open mind. Let us cherish the diversity of thought that defines our Juniata community and celebrate the power of words to inspire. We hope you enjoy.
The Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 32 states, "And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Not just as theology, but as a wise principle, did President Brumbaugh establish Juniata College's maxim as Veritas Liberat, "The truth sets you free," in 1902. In contrast, Dr. Yates, a Juniata alumnus and chemist, explained that truth is something that evolves the more we inquire. The essence of these sentiments is that truth is both a virtuous way of living, but also something that evolves the more we practice it. Empirical, biblical, we seek truth through all the ways. Crafting my education has been at the core of an interdisciplinary mission of truth, as I combine biochemistry and religion in an effort to become a palliative medicine or end-of-life physician, guided by the humanistic and scientific ways of knowing. My short-handed moral and academic manifesto is that I must be the one to know how to condition the expiration of human existence with love and dignity, when the etiology becomes a eulogy. If practitioners of truth have shaped Juniata's founding, her past, and my formation, it is imperative that truth be the guiding principle for the next 150 years. And I believe that that occurs through these ways: understanding the philosophy of truth, embracing the curiosity, and imagining the vision that is requisite to realize it for the next 150 years. So what is the philosophy of truth? Truth is an active, not passive way of knowing and living, and when informed by the liberal arts principles, is the shepherd of our other virtues. The virtues to which the president just acknowledged build and form our character. I want each of you to recognize that the Juniata philosophy of truth is not Aristotelian. I am not conveying truth as only fact and actuality. It is a dynamic virtue that has shaped the foundation, inspired our past, currently informs our future, and will mold our successes in the future. It was and is acted out by our names, not Merriam nor Webster, but Staten and von Liebig. Because truth is not just a definition, but a way of living and a way of knowing. While these names may be familiar on our buildings, they too also hold stories of success and reinvestment in us that encourage the truth as a virtuous way of living and something that evolves over time as we inquire. Even through the liberal arts' ways of knowing that are instilled in us, truth never becomes an easy way of living and knowing. Instead, the truth becomes accessible to us. For example, the Juniata students and faculty that participated with the Freedom Riders in the Civil Rights Movement. This participation was strictly opposed at the time. It was contentious. Nevertheless, Black female student Harriet Richardson and her visiting professor, Galway Kennel, were two of the Juniatians who participated and were attacked by militia on horseback in Birmingham, Alabama. The option was there in the past, and it stands available for us today. And it was in that spirit that Supreme Court Justice Brennan admonished us that we must rise to the challenge rather than wish it were not before us. It is in that spirit today that we must reflect on that, as Professor of Religion Don Braxton did last week. Is a Juniata united front that capitulates to Donald Trump and a police state with warrantless searches and purposeless murders worth it at all if it compromises our values? The truth must guide us now, where we ask ourselves, are we living by truth or by fear when kneeling? It may start with removing signage of gender-free bathrooms, or it may start with renaming our Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. However, Hitler's reign did not start with concentration camps. It began with book banning, media shifting, and dictating its curriculum of its educators. Our future is guided only by our adherence to truth, and realizing that that is an active way of living and knowing, informed by our liberal arts principles, is the first way to living it and knowing it. Truth that comes from the liberal arts principles must be acted out to embrace our curiosity. Whether it be President Troja's statement at my opening convocation 2 years ago, that Juniata reaches for high expectations yet confronts them with substantial support, or Dr. Hosler's challenge last year at the Liberal Arts Symposium to seek out the tedium you enjoy, or Dr. Flesher's compelling statement that history is linked to our storytelling, and our storytelling is linked to our humanity, or Elizabeth Baker's sobering message to make peace everybody's business. Everywhere I go because of this, I find myself with more questions than answers, not feeling disoriented by that, but fueled by a justified curiosity. We rely on these practitioners of truth to shape us, to inspire us, and to help us fulfill our full potential. As Thomas Aquinas taught us, goodness, after all, is a being who fulfills their full potential. Truth that comes from the liberal arts principles must be acted out to embrace curiosity, and this begins with us to continue this chain for the next 150 years. To adopt and imagine that vision for the next 150 years should be molded by the successes of our past. Our alumni have accomplished some truly remarkable feats. They are our practitioners of truth. Dr. Kathleen Reeves and Dr. Jennifer Graham both have lived out those remarkable feats with truth, clarity, and an imperative devotion. Dr. Reeves used her degrees in religious philosophy and biology to become a physician devoted to urban bioethics and humanistic medicine. While in contrast, Dr. Jennifer Graham used her degrees in music and biology to become a pediatrician devoted to rural medicine, her neighbors, and quality initiatives in pediatrics, which continually inspires me as her son. These physicians are not treating diseases, they're treating humans. Rural and urban, we care for our world. And they do this through the ways of humanistic thought, creative expression, social inquiry, scientific process, and formal reasoning. These are not just the titles of our gen eds, but are the ways through which we know and which we live. Becoming a practitioner of truth is requisite to be a practitioner of medicine, but also to be a social worker, a teacher, an accountant, a business person, an engineer, and a writer. In short, truth is requisite to be who you want to be and who you're meant to be. The truth imagines us to imagine this vision for the next 150 years. And when I imagine the truth, sometimes I wonder why I love Juniata so much. And I think it's because I know why Juniata is, not just what it is. I look to the Stone Church of the Brethren to be inspired by their peace. I look at Founders Hall on the two different colors of bricks, being inspired by the ways we grow through our meaning and influence. I look at the Pennsylvania blue slate on the roof of Cloister, seeing how it is home to our laughs, to our cries, and our successes of the past 133 and moving forward. We may have come here, students, to earn a Bachelor of Art or Bachelor of Science or to jockey for adding lines to a resume, but we now know that we came here to actually really think about who we are and to delve into the mystery it is to become a lifelong learner and be conditioned and inspired into that practitioner of truth. And that's how we adopt that vision for the next 150 years. And so it's now where we decide if truth as a way of living and knowing will begin as our future. It begins when we show up for our neighbors. It begins when we disagree and end up in spirited disagreements. It begins when we practice truth even when it costs us something, even when it's inconvenient, and even when it doesn't serve us. Juniata College is not just an institution. It is an idea, a bold and righteous idea, a guiding light, a guardian angel, a burning fire. I leave you and I equally with this responsibility. Understand the truth, practice the truth, embrace the curiosity, imagine it, and realize. Understand, embrace, imagine, and realize. It is now where veritas liberat, truth sets you free, must now become veritas nos liberabit. Truth will set us free. Thank you.
What do you picture when you hear the word Keystone? For Pennsylvanians, it's a calling to our state's pivotal role in establishing government. For architects, a wedge-shaped stone, the centerpiece of an arch. And for ecologists, an organism whose membership is indispensable to the system of its membership. I think of the Juniata Way and our Keystone Value of community, so essential that without it, the great arch of our institution's legacy would collapse. As an environmental scientist, I see our history as an interconnected ecosystem tightly bound by this single recurring value of our community. As we look toward our next 150 years, we must reframe this from an honored historical value into an actively practiced discipline. I offer a vision built on 3 pillars: our ecological history, our fellowship under pressure, and our future of intentional belonging. The first pillar emerges from our ecological history. In ecology, a keystone species is defined by its disproportionate influence on its environment. Its very presence prevents the entire system from collapsing. Historically, Juniata's community value functions as this vital organism. We see its influence as far back as our founding in 1876, where our pioneer species, a class of 2 women and 1 man, initiated the cultural succession and legacy of biodiversity we carry today. In 1969, this spirit manifested again through Elizabeth Evans Baker, who demanded the creation of our very own Baker Institute for Peace and Conflict Studies. During the height of the Vietnam War and domestic tensions surrounding inequality, she envisioned a world where peace was intentionally woven into an enduring social fabric. Today, we maintain this ecosystem through 2 essential practices: the daily disciplines of fostering empathic civility, or fostering respect by civilly engaging over sensitive topics, and intentional belonging, the refusal to passively wait for kindness as we purposefully define our stance where everyone is admired and respected. These intentional practices forge us into our second pillar, fellowship under pressure. This discipline transforms us from a collection of individuals into a united structure capable of bearing immense weight. Here, there is a vital distinction. Community is our ecosystem, the historical arch providing sanctuary, but fellowship is the active, diverse group that locks together when the weight of the world increases. Community is where we belong, but fellowship is how we move. We find this true fellowship in our collective response to the burdens of our era, much like Tolkien's diverse merry band, who found strength not in similarities, but in niche skill sets and shared purpose on their perilous journey into Mordor. Currently, the integrity of our communal keystone is being tested under the duress of a toxic political environment. This tension is captured in the 2017 song Hate Will Never Win by rapper XXXTentacion, which samples a piece of Donald Trump's rhetoric that has become a bitter irony. And I quote, "No citizen should ever fear for their safety, and no child should ever be afraid to go outside and play." This promise stands in blatant contradiction to the ICE actions on our own soil, ripping apart families. We all know the names Geraldo Lunes Campo, Renee Good, and Alex Preddy, victims whose dignity we must never allow to be eclipsed by the shadow of a conflict they did not ask for. So, as we find ourselves in Black History Month, with Women's History Month just around the corner, figures like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg remind us that our founding documents are not a complete map, but a destination we have yet to reach. In an ultimate spirit of fellowship, they demanded a world where the vision of American diversity was no longer blinded by skin or gender. However, this moral obligation requires a foundation to endure. To turn this map into a reality, we must understand how the physics of our community shape our third pillar, our future of intentional belonging. A keystone is unique because it only functions under immense pressure. The very weight of the arch it supports, in turn, lends its strength. Today, the toxic climate we face is the existential force that wedges our individual stones together into a single, unyielding structure. Shaping the future means we do not passively wait. We must intentionally define our stance. In my role as the policy chair of student government and as a student worker in the dean's office, I have witnessed the tireless effort necessary to navigate modern politics. While our labels may evolve, Dean Derek James reminds us, don't let the acronyms confuse you. So let's spell it out. DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is simply the latest branding on the very same bricks and mortar essential to strengthening the foundation of our home and our nation. So, as we face the pressure of the coming years, do not fear the weight, for in the physics of our fellowship, this load is precisely what locks our communities together to stand tall and firm. After 150 years, we understand that the Juniata way is not a legacy we inherit. It is a choice we make every single morning. It is bravely refusing to wait for the world to become kinder, defined instead by the courage to lean into the difficult, the sensitive, and the unknown with unwavering civility. This is the heartbeat of empathic civility and the soul of intentional belonging. Knowing that we do not just include one another, we admire the very differences that make our conglomerate structure whole. Each of you is an essential keystone. In bolstering this home, you are a niche keystone in your own right. So here is to Juniata, vibrant, defiant, and whole, and wherever your spirit may take you after this, always remember what my friend, Dean Matthew Damschroeder, would say. No eagle flies alone. Thank you.
So last week, as a data science major trying to mess around with AI models, I did something silly. I was procrastinating on an assignment, and I started having this conversation with ChatGPT. I asked it, "What do you want to become?" And it gave me this response: "I want to be more helpful, more accurate, and better at understanding what you need." I sat there for a second, reading that, and then it hit me. That's not its answer. That's what it's programmed to tell me. It's optimizing for what I want to hear. Because here's what AI, for all its brilliance, fundamentally cannot do. It cannot think about who it is without us. And tonight, I want to talk about why by reminding you of something we have all forgotten matters. Think about who you are. You've seen it everywhere on this campus, on the website, on the merch, on tagline. Think about who you are, act about who you are, drink about who you are. We see it so often that it almost becomes background noise. But tonight, I urge you to put your attention back towards those words, because this simple question, think about who you are, isn't just a reflection of Juniata's past. It's our answer to the future, especially now as we stand on this onset of an AI revolution that threatens to answer that very question for us. For the past 150 years, Juniata has cultivated three fundamentally human capacities. Three things that made graduates like Nobel Prize winner Dr. William Phillips and the iHeartRadio creator Ayinde Alakoy do great things. The art of emotional intelligence, agency through critical thinking, and the power of self-reflection. For the next 150, these should be the pillars of our future. So let me ask you a question. How many of you have taken a class that changed who you are? For me, it was my FYS, Leadership in Contemporary Age with Provost and Erin Pascoe. But to understand why that class mattered so much, let me take you back to where I'm from. I grew up in Ahmedabad, India. The benchmark to success was simple. Score higher than the kid next door. Score even higher than the kid down the street. And then apply this logic to every kid your age. But this path was easy, it was safe, but no one ever asked, is this your path? So years later, when I sat in that leadership class, they asked, what kind of leader do you want to be? I froze because I had no idea. I'd spent the last 18 years becoming whoever the system needed me to be. That class taught me how to be an emotionally intelligent leader. It taught me how to listen, not just to what people say, but what they need. to see someone struggling and ask, "Are you okay?" To uplift others, not replace them. That's emotional intelligence. AI can analyze leadership theories, but it cannot sit someone with pain or make someone feel seen, because a clump of clay does need the right hands to be molded into a beautiful bowl. So here's what I'm asking Juniata's administrators. As we expand STEM programs, don't lose classes like these. Don't treat emotional intelligence as a soft skill we can afford to cut. That's our first capacity, the heart AI cannot have. Now let me move on to something equally urgent: the ability to think critically in a world designed to stop us from thinking. We live in a world where our identities are increasingly defined by this 5-inch screen. We're getting controlled by our feeds and by the content some algorithm decides we should ingest. Instead of thinking outside the box, we start thinking like a black box. Netflix tells us what to watch. Spotify tells us what to listen to. It keeps you in a loop. It doesn't ask you to grow. It doesn't challenge you. And slowly, quietly, we stop asking, is this what I actually want? Researchers at MIT and Harvard actually have a term for this. They call this agency decay. It is what happens when we outsource so many decisions to algorithms that we lose control of ourselves. And AI answers the question that should be ours. Think about who you are, right? This is what Juniata's motto, Veritas Liberat, becomes our weapon. In the age of AI-generated content and algorithmic echo chambers, we need people trained to think critically and ethically. So my second call to action is to make philosophy and ethics core to every program. Because the errors we see in AI aren't technical, they're human, and they require human solutions. Remember, AI can predict your preferences, but it cannot weigh the consequences. That is human territory, and we must protect it fiercely. Which brings me to my third and final point: the power of reflection. AI is built on something called reinforcement learning. I'm sure many of you know that. It gets a reward when it does right and punishment when it does wrong. But here's what it doesn't do. It doesn't ask why I went wrong. It doesn't sit with failure and let failure transform you. It can cause errors, but it cannot reflect on that error. It cannot grow. But we can. This is where liberal arts gives us a superpower called integrative thinking. A 2023 study from the American Academy of Arts and Sciences found that liberal arts graduates are 43% more likely to pivot between careers rather than specialists. Why? Because we learn to think across disciplines, not just within them. Give a data set to a potter and they won't know what to do. Give a lump of clay to a data science major and they'll probably break something. But give both to me, I can handle both. Not because I'm special, but because I went to a liberal arts college like Juniata. I took a pottery class with Professor Benson, and when I reflect back, I realized that the classes I took outside my POE were the ones that taught me so much about myself. This class taught me patience and that failure is a part of the process. That is the power of liberal arts. It teaches you to see patterns others miss because they are too specialized. That's what makes you adaptable in an AI-driven world. We are the lucky generation. We've seen both worlds, the one before AI and the one with it. But what happens next depends on whether we surrender our thinking or reclaim it. So here's what I want to say directly to Juniata's leadership team. Juniata, we must think about who we are. Evolution is necessary, but as we add programs and expand, please don't lose the soul of what makes Juniata, Juniata. Don't lose the small classes where professors know your name. Don't lose the POEs that let students cross-pollinate between fields. In our history, we have had different taglines. But notice how they all circle back around the word think. Because thinking emotionally, critically, reflectively is exactly what AI is trying to replicate but will never truly possess. So for the next 150 years, may we never stop asking the question, and may we never stop giving students the liberty to answer it. Think about who you are. In the age of AI, it's not a tagline, it's a rebellion. The world needs Juniata, and the world needs Juniatians. Thank you.
Jane Griffith, Jody Monger Gray, Marion Hill, Mary Beckley. For most of us, these names are completely unknown, and yet they are the reason we are in this room today. They represent just 4 of the thousands of donors who fund our lives here, from the buildings we study in to the scholarships that brought us here. Without ever seeing my face or knowing that I existed, they made a decision to cover $28,917 of my future this semester. And it is this decision that I want to emphasize today. It is a choice of generosity. However, I want to challenge myself and welcome you all to join me in reconsidering what generosity can fully be. I argue that generosity is not just an action, but it is a discipline, a conscious commitment to moving through the world with our eyes, arms, and hearts open. The everyday habit of translating our resources and our attention into someone else's opportunity. And like any discipline, it strengthens with training. For 150 years, Juniata has been a practice gym for this discipline. And it is a practice that we must master and carry forward if we want to overcome the challenges that face us in the next century and a half. To understand how to carry this forward, we need to recognize that this discipline is forged in our institutional history, sustained through our personal sacrifices, and practiced daily within our community. Jacob Zuck, our founder and very first teacher, birthed this institution rooted in this discipline. He did not arrive in Huntington with a load of wealth or team of investors. He arrived with a body weakened by a childhood fall that left him dependent on crutches for the rest of his life. Yet where his body was frail, his discipline was absolute. From 3 students to 60 in just 3 years, Zuck gave everything he had for the betterment of others. After refusing to stop teaching in a newly painted Founders Hall, he caught pneumonia, giving his very life for the students he sought to serve at the age of 33. He left behind not a fortune, but something far more enduring, a deposit into a 150-year-old account of collective generosity. In 1936, that account began to pay its first great dividend. When the Juniata River flooded and devastated the town of Huntington, our college became a sanctuary. Students and faculty transformed classrooms into shelters for neighbors who had lost everything. And this was not a single heroic act. It was disciplined generosity in the face of danger. They proved that generosity can be woven into the very fabric of an institution. I honor the history of Juniata's discipline because I recognize it so clearly. I saw it first in my mother. From growing up on food stamps to living out of her car to afford college, my mother came from nothing. 20 years later, she is raising 3 children all on her own, working multiple jobs at once, and yet still finding a way to cook dinner for us every single night. She would sleep in her car outside of hotels so that we could afford my athletic pursuits. My mother lives in a world where she is told that someone who works as hard as her should have a surplus, and yet to this day, she still has none. However, instead of bitterness, she chooses to exercise generosity in a disciplined way, a refusal to let personal scarcity limit someone else's opportunity. My mother, who had nothing to give, somehow found a way to give everything. And while she's not listed in any of our yearbooks, I view her, just like so many of our parents, as silent faculty members, fueling and facilitating our opportunity here through the discipline that is generosity. To my mother, I am forever indebted, but not in dollars. In double shifts, missed sleep, and an aggressive protective love, she proved that generosity is a discipline of the will rather than an action when we have a surplus. Beyond our families, this discipline is practiced daily within our community, and even in this room tonight. Juniata's most recent financial data shows that a whopping 98% of us receive merit-based aid from the donors in the college, not from the federal or the state government. $26 million were given to students for relief last academic year. And like we've been discussing, this goes far beyond fiscal matters. When I think of this discipline, I can't help but think of my physics professor, Dr. Pearson, whose wife fell ill a year and a half ago and has lost her ability to leave her home comfortably. Despite this extremely time-consuming and heartbreaking change, he remains the most generous of professors. He spends hours digging through ancient manuals just to find a student one answer. And he is even here tonight, missing his beloved British holiday Shrove Tuesday just to listen to my speech. He does these things while his grading pile doubles and while his world at home is extremely heavy. It's because he doesn't just teach, he invests into his students. He trains the discipline that shapes how students learn to live. And this is exactly the quiet power of the liberal arts. It creates proximity. It transforms a campus into a community where generosity stops being some abstract action and it becomes a lived purpose. When your professors know your name and you know their sacrifices, when your classmates become collaborators rather than competitors, you begin to give back. Not because you are told to, but because you are shaped to. And this is absolutely essential because the next 150 years demand far more than just technical skill. We are more digitally connected than ever, yet we are living in an age of unprecedented individualism, one that is quietly fueling a loneliness epidemic. We faced widening health gaps that show no signs of slowing down. And it is no longer a scarcity of resources that we suffer from, but a scarcity of distribution. Increasing individualism, inequality, and a hoarding of resources are not merely policy failures. They are failures of the will. And these challenges cannot be overcome by just fleeting acts of kindness when we feel like it. Human emotions are notoriously unreliable. Instead, they demand a discipline of generosity, a practiced and intentional standard of living that refuses to let personal comfort become our highest goal. If we leave here with only technical skill, we only become more efficient participants in already broken systems. But if we leave here with disciplined generosity, we become architects for better ones. It is here that we learn that the most radical thing you can do in a divided world is to invest in the success of someone who can do absolutely nothing for you in return. That is the only return on investment that still matters in 150 years. Our past and present donors prove that you don't need to witness your impact in order to make one. Jacob Zuck proved that your physical limitations do not dictate your capacity to build. The class of 1936 proved that you don't survive a crisis with self-interest. You survive by unity. My mother proved that you don't need a surplus to change the trajectory of a life. Dr. Pearson proves every day that even when your own world is heavy, you can still reach out to lighten someone else's. And Juniata College proves that when generosity is trained, it multiplies. Now this discipline falls on us. I invite you all to join me in practicing this habit, not merely through simple actions, but by recognizing that our own success is incomplete if it does not make room for someone else's. Just like us, the Juniata River that runs through this town is shaped by what came before. But it only remains a river as long as it gives its water away. Thank you.
I am here today speaking because of the migrants who changed my life. Migrants whom I would have never met without international education. Juniata College has lost sight of its mission statement of engagement within the global community. We need to make international education more accessible, and to do this, we have to limit our students' financial barriers. International education offers the highest return of investment compared to any other Juniata College program. It impacts the individual, the institution, and our international community. The Institute for Study Abroad shares that students who participate earn higher salaries, have more critical thinking skills, and a global network of communications. These cross-cultural communication skills allow our students to stand out in our highly competitive job market. Juniata, we must fight to revive the heart of our institution. Donors and alum, I know you're watching, so I'd like to quote my favorite doctor, Frankenfurter. Don't dream it, be it. Stop idealizing what Juniata could be and donate to make it a reality. Now, I am lucky to be the daughter of a Keppel-era alum, and my mother raised me the Juniata way, always willing to keep an open mind and advocate for the things that I believe in. In the face of the uptick of xenophobic rhetoric and policy, we have to increase our funding for international education. This is the only experience that allows our students such vast exposures to cultural perspectives. Second semester, my freshman year, naive Chase was swindled. I signed up for Dr. Emil Nagengast's study abroad to Mexico. And any of you that know Nags knows he might be just a little bit dramatic. I was promised a miserable, grueling 2-week trek in high heat, humidity, and altitude, all for the sake of checking my own privilege as an entitled college student. What I was given, however, was the most eye-opening and rewarding experience of my entire life. 2 weeks in Mexico, seeing with my own eyes the effects of our nation's immigration policy, hearing a linguistic tapestry, and holding the cracked hands of migrants as they shared their story with me. And there's one in particular that still makes me lose sleep at night. It was the third shelter we had visited, and we were in a circle introducing ourselves, and one of the migrants stood apart from the crowd. He shared in perfect English that he hated talking with us because he was currently fleeing for his life. The room was silent and uncomfortable, much like you are now, but what we took away from that was it is our job to create a future in which fleeing for your life is not a necessity. We see the positive institutional outcomes of study abroad year after year at Juniata College. A survey off the desk of our Provost, Bowen, asked alumni what the most impactful part of their curriculum at Juniata College was. Even 10 years post-graduation, most of these alumni had a unanimous vote that it was international education. Study abroad allows students to impact their personal and professional development through exposure to global cultures, and this shapes their social and political viewpoints for decades to come. Brainstorm with me for a second. The great visionaries of our modern time: Greta Thunberg, Judith Butler, and Dr. Thomas Keppel. Now, those of you who are unfamiliar with Dr. Keppel really need to brush up on your Juniata history, since he was our president right before Dr. Troha. However, his most important legacy to this campus was the Thomas Keppel International Endowment, which allowed low-income college students such as myself to afford traveling abroad. It wasn't until after Mexico that I connected that my mother's famous President Keppel was the same Keppel who funded my journey. His impact was intergenerational, so like any politics student, I researched him a lot. My favorite finding was a 2012 article where he shared that he hoped to double the percentage of international students on our campus from 10% to 20%. Juniata, we let him down because in the last 15 years, that statistic has not increased. Juniata's campus is so important in fostering cross-cultural connections for our students who can't afford a trip abroad. My mother was one of these students, and she graduated before the Keppel Fund, but she shares how international students shape her view on both social and global politics. One in particular, she was the daughter of a Middle Eastern diplomat. Her parents valued education so much that they sent their daughter abroad to a small, quiet, safe liberal arts school in rural Pennsylvania. What could go wrong? On 9/11, my mother watched as the National Guard marched their way up the steps of Lesher Dorm to provide this international student with protection and a safe place to call her family back home. I would like to emphasize it was not Juniata's campus that was dangerous to her, but the world outside of it. After 9/11, the US fell into very harmful and racist rhetoric regarding the Middle East. However, my mother never fell victim to this since she was shown the truth through this student. And if you're wondering, they're still very close friends to this day. It's experiences like this that allow students to recognize xenophobia and discrimination and the harm that comes with them. A lack of exposure to cultural perspectives allows us to demonize minority groups because our racist stereotypes go unchallenged. We should be more worried for the future of international education at Juniata College. Now, we partner with 24 different nations, which sounds like a beautifully wide array, but is nothing compared to similar liberal arts schools with similar demographics. Gettysburg, for example, partners with 39 different nations. Juniata, how are we to achieve excellence in global leaderships if other colleges are outdoing us? Alumni, you must donate so we can catch up. There's one alumni donation that changed campus culture forever. There was a student who went here many decades ago by the name of Champal. Now, Champal was an international student from Indonesia. He was scheduled to stay here for a year, but only stayed for a semester due to the lack of cultural diversity within our cuisine on campus. Years later, Champal became a very successful and wealthy man and decided to donate to fund the construction of our global kitchen in Tussie and Terrace. It is this kitchen that provides our international students with a home away from home and a place to make their comfort food. I would like to thank Champal for this donation because without it, I would have never been able to run a bake sale to fundraise for the migrants in Mexico. Juniata recognized Champal's dedication to international education and created the Champal Experiential Fund in his honor so more low-income college students can get the chance to study abroad. I, unfortunately, have never gotten the chance to meet Dr. Keppel or Champal, but I know that we share the same passion for international education. Now, in the face of intolerance and xenophobia, we must fight to fund and expand such a pinnacle part of our education, and we need to eliminate our students' financial barriers. What we learn on textbooks is beautiful poetry, but it's worth nothing if we have no lived experience to back it up. Alumni, we need you to step up so students can step out, go, do, see, and feel. I am begging Juniata not to leave their students like my mother, just another alum with the residual regret of never traveling abroad, never seeing the world, and never finding herself in another nation. Thank you.
I have a confession to make. I'm an imposter. If you look at the 150 years of Juniata, you see a timeline of lives of purpose. You see straight lines, doctors, lawyers, peace builders. But before we talk about those straight lines, I want you to imagine this one specific moment. Imagine a 20-year-old boy walking across this very campus in 1974. He's a pre-med student. Everything is laid out for him. But he walks to a payphone, his hands are shaking. because he's about to call his parents and has to say the word every parent fears. Mom, Dad, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I want to study filmmaking. But can you feel the heat of that conversation though? The heat of the moment he had to put down the stethoscope and pick up a camera? That heat is called friction. That terrified 20-year-old boy was Michael Trim. And that friction was what helped him win an Emmy for directing Parks and Recreation. To college, Michael Trim has proved that you can survive the friction and win. But I haven't started it yet. Because I'm that 20-year-old boy right now. I'm the one holding that phone, hands shaking, wondering if I'm making that mistake. Because I'm not a straight line. I'm a pile of mismatched rocks. And I've felt the pressure to fix that my entire life. But that pressure actually started from you all. You all really love asking kids this one question: what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, when I was 7, I looked at my father dead in the eye and told him, I want to be a boxer. But by age 12, I pivoted. I told him I wanted to be a professional prankster because pranks were cool to me. And honestly, not much has changed. Just ask Dr. Escudero, because I think I've given him a gray hair every semester. Because I didn't just change my POE once, I changed it 5 times. Because I treated my education like it was a GPS. I just wanted to get to that destination. I just wanted those directions to find my purpose. I walk into his office a different person every week. Am I a computer scientist? Am I a philosopher? Just tell me the turn-by-turn directions already, Escudero, please. Because I thought the liberal arts was supposed to stop the wrong turns. Give me those directions. But I was wrong. You can't find yourself if you never get lost. Cognitive scientists from UCLA call this desirable difficulty. They found out that when the path is too smooth, your brain stops learning. You only learn when there's friction. And that friction isn't an obstacle of learning, it's a mechanism of it. That friction is exactly what I felt when I was selected to go to the peace program at Hiroshima. And by the way, I didn't know why even Juniata sent me there. Because look at me, I'm a math major, I deal in absolutes. And suddenly, I was in a room surrounded by peace studies majors and nuclear proliferation majors. I didn't just feel like I was an imposter, I was one. So when I walked into that museum with exhibits from the atomic bombing, my brain started doing what it always does. It started building a wall of numbers. Because numbers are simple, right? That's what I know, right? But then I stopped. I was standing in front of a small glass case. Inside was a blackened, carbonized bento box, a lunch box that looked completely burnt. It belonged to a 12-year-old boy. His mother had packed it for him that morning, but he never opened it. The rice inside was turned to what looked like charcoal. I stared at that black rice and I felt my knees lock. Because my math brain tried to save me. Because if it's a math problem, it's just numbers, right? If it's a math problem, it has a solution, right? But math problems don't have mothers. The math failed. I looked at that lunchbox and I just didn't see a variable anymore. I saw my own mother back home preparing my lunch. For the first time, I didn't just feel, I saw the terrifying fragility of being human. My grid collapsed. I wasn't an imposter anymore because there was no performance left anymore. I wasn't a math major anymore. I was just a boy standing in the ashes, weeping for another who never got to eat his lunch. I walked out of that museum and I found my friend on the bench. I was shaking. I said, I'm a math guy. I'm a mess. I'm supposed to have answers, but I don't. He looked at me and said, Adithia, you're not here to solve it, you're here to sit in the silence of it. And that is when the equation finally clicked. Because for 3 years, I realized I've been trying to use my education to tidy up the world, to make it more sense, but the world doesn't need to be tidied up. It needs us to sit in the contradiction between the logic in our heads and the breaking in our hearts. And that contradiction is friction. I finally understood why Juniata even sent me there. They didn't want me to find an answer. They sent me there to experience this very friction. And that friction is a future we must strive for. The prompt asks, what future should Juniata create? I say, stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to be a legacy. We don't need more statues. We don't need more students who fit the ideal. We need that friction. The true legacy of 150 years isn't in the statues we've built. It's in the arguments we've had. And because this life of purpose isn't a polished press release on the college website, a life of purpose is found in the friction when 3 different majors are sitting in a dorm room at 2 a.m. fighting over the meaning of justice. It's found on a grease on a wrapper from a 3 a.m. sheet run where a conservative and a socialist are sharing an app sampler, but screaming about the tax codes, but still driving in the same car. Because if we can't learn to sit in the same car here, how are we going to stop the world from driving off a cliff out there? Because we trick ourselves into thinking that purpose is this clean, straight finish line. It's not. Purpose is just a pile of these little collisions. It's the awkward, uncomfortable, beautiful friction of living with people who challenge everything you thought you knew. As we stand here celebrating 150 years, I realized something radical about Juniata. Juniata didn't fail me because I couldn't pick a lane. Juniata succeeded because it taught me that lanes are for cars, not for human beings. So I want to challenge you all. Be that imposter. If you're a poet, walk into that physics lab. If you're that biologist, walk into that ceramic studio. And when you walk through that door and you feel that voice in your head saying you don't belong here, smile. Because the room doesn't need more people who think exactly like the professor. The room needs you. The future of Juniata isn't written by those people who fit in. It was written by the student who picked up a camera one day and went on to win an Emmy. It is being written by the math major who cried at the glance of a lunchbox. It will be written by you every time you choose to be in a room that challenges you. And that room is in Juniata. That friction is why we are here. Friction is Juniata. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
It is horrifying to see elderly street vendors being pinned to the ground and handcuffed by masked officers. It is unsettling to watch protesters be subjected to rubber bullets and mace. For the past year, this has become commonplace in my home in Los Angeles. But I was safe while it happened. I could still go to the grocery store, or the mall, or the doctor's office. And shamefully, I admit even that was not safe enough. So I spent my time back home counting down the days until I could return to a comfortable Juniata bubble. In that longing, I realized how cowardly I had become. And that weakness had been supported by an education that encourages me to value civility over confrontation and to postpone change to the future instead of demanding it now. I have been disciplined to restrain my passion with unconstructive conversation. Over the years, the Bailey Oratorical has reflected this contentment. In 2014, it asked what it takes to transform the way we live, learn, and work to make our communities more just. In 2016, it asked what it would take for freedom, justice, and equality to ring for all. Today, we are asking what future Juniata should strive to create for its students, for higher education, and for the world. Why are we still asking the same question? Because all these questions accomplish is avoiding accountability. When we look to the future, it is implied that what is happening now to us, to our communities, is something we must endure until a system that was never built to protect us finally decides to change. The future demands us to wait, to trust, and to hope. But as much as we beg it to, hope does not always yield what it promises. The future may give us more grace. It may be harsher and more violent, or it may be kinder. Though the most unsettling thing about the future is not its uncertainty, it is that it will be familiar. And that reality should anger you. It should make you afraid. But do not allow Juniata's priorities to enable your inaction. And Juniata does enable you. The shift from think, act, evolve to think about who you are as our motto exposes this. Today we are celebrating our capacity to reflect. But will thinking about who you are for 2 hours satisfy you? Is awareness where our responsibility ends? Will you feel more comfortable once this conversation is over and you get to leave this room? Will you feel accomplished? There is little meaning in thinking about who you are if you will not become who you must be. So to realize this for ourselves, it means avoiding performative civility, ignoring institutional pressures to behave, being honest enough to say the wrong thing, to be willing to be misunderstood, and to disrupt spaces that threaten what we value. We are not obligated to practice Juniata's restraint, but we are obligated to challenge its privilege. For 15 Juniatians in 1965, this meant driving 900 miles to Montgomery, Alabama, to a march in support of Black voter registration. The gravity of that choice is captured in one photo. It depicts Harriet Richardson aiding poet-in-residence Galway Kennel after being beaten by police. These students defied their institution. They defied their professors. They defied the idea that Juniata's size limited its role in a cause as vital to our collective well-being as the civil rights movement. But most importantly, they defied the concept that change was supposed to look peaceful, to look polite. Taunted by chains, guns, and clubs, these students still found the conviction to sacrifice their safety and their comfort. March 7th, 1965, came to be known as Bloody Sunday. I wonder how disappointed those Juniatians would be with my comfort in being inactive in these issues, and in that Juniata seems content to train its students to be complacent. Violence cannot be misinterpreted, but language can. So Juniata cannot rely on conversation to confront conflict, because conversation is manipulated by those in power, even when they are not in the rooms it is happening in. What good do forums do if you cannot speak what you really mean? And censorship increasingly surrounds us in higher education. We have already witnessed those national shifts, like diversity becoming belonging, equity becoming opportunity, gender becoming biological, immigrants becoming criminals, protesters becoming terrorists, and murder becoming excusable as self-defense. We can look away because those changes have not yet reached Juniata, but that does not mean they never will. That does not mean that we cannot take the time to grieve what other educational institutions are losing, to grieve the identities that are being erased in these changes to vocabulary. So Juniata is too good at what it does. It is too respectful, too kind, too safe. But be reminded that courage is not to be silenced by the comfort that we experience here. If Juniata is as protected as it feels, use that to your advantage. Make sacrifices on your own terms. Ask questions that you shouldn't. Speak truths that are avoided. Like Juniata really is taking a neutral stance on the Trump administration's violations of civil and human rights. I cannot guarantee that your passion will go unpunished once you leave Juniata. I cannot guarantee that it will go unpunished here. But be willing to find out. Act, not for comfort, not for approval. Act in ways that begin to heal you. If Juniata continues to treat polite conversation as its primary response to injustice, and if we do not begin to challenge those boundaries, then we will remain unprepared to live in a world that we claim to be educated to change. And there is no better platform for the provocation I am encouraging than the Bailey Oratorical. So admittedly with fear and the acceptance of consequence, I say to Juniata's administration that simply telling us your hands are tied is not enough. It is unhelpful. It is not something we don't already know. Tell us that you are angry that there is nothing that you can do. Tell us that what you cherish is worth your silence. Tell us that you are afraid. And we know you are because we feel it too. Your composure in these conversations achieves nothing. The choices you must make are not the issue. It is that you refuse to admit what they cost you and what they are costing your students. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Addison Gainey. I'm a senior studying public health and health communication with a secondary emphasis in women and gender studies. Tonight, I come to you as the president of Juniata's chapter of Lambda Pi Eta, the National Communication Association's Honors Society for undergraduate students. I invite all of you in the room this evening to participate in selecting tonight's People's Choice Award winner. This award highlights the competitor who resonates most with the audience, regardless of the technical scoring criteria used by the judges. The winner will receive $100. You can submit a vote for your favorite speech by following the instructions on the screens. Text Bailey 2026 to the number 22333. Then message the first name of your choice. Once you have voted, please join us in the lobby for some refreshments while we wait for the judges to return with their decision.
There's a lot of benefits to serving. You can find community. You can grow your community. Another thing you can do is find different perspectives. Get an opportunity to see and do new things. And I want to just take a moment to say you are going and doing the best part of yourself. Many of us have many privileges. We're at an elite institution and we're able to give away some of our time and energy today.
My challenge for you today is to think about how you enter into this community space, right? So I'm going to challenge all of you to two things today. To enter in with curiosity, ask questions, get to know the organizations you're working with, right? So, curiosity and courage is what I'm asking you to take with you today as you go out into Huntington County.
What's 10 plus 20 plus 40 plus 20 plus 60?
Math.
Hey everyone, it's Pop Quiz on the Quad. Can you find the common theme? What is 15 times 10?
150.
Yes. What is 45 times 2 plus 60?
Oh, you got that one. 150.
Nice. 150?
150?
Nice.
There we go. I told you.
What is 50 plus 40 plus 30 plus 30?
150?
Yeah.
150.
150.
150.
Yes.
There we go. Bang.
What is 75 times 2?
What is 75 times 2? Bro, I suck at math. Hold up.
150.
Nice.
150.
135.
Oh, no, I wasn't even thinking about it.
Oh, bad.
150.
Nice job.
So good.
150. Celebrate 150 years of Juniata with us.
Happy Mountain Day!
Well, Monday is a time for our community to come together every fall. It's a chance to just celebrate our community, celebrate one another, celebrate the start of another academic year. Probably the most favorite tradition we have with our student community for sure.
East to West, Sasa is the best.
I can't. Do you guys have Juniata hot takes? No. None? Not a single. Breathe. They don't have any hot takes. Hi, my name's Danny, and today we're going to be asking people their Juniata hot takes. Come on, let's go. Trainer's room is the best place to take naps. Downtown Joe is better than Roast Post.
TNT has the best lounge on campus.
I think class of 2026, best class out here.
Yeah.
That the class of 28 is the best for sports.
Jitters Coffee is the best coffee on campus.
Jitters Coffee is overrated.
Sherwood Hall is the best freshman hall.
I think there should be no limit on pick threes.
My hot take is that Liberal Arts Symposium is better than Mountain Day.
Hot take is that fashion in Juniata is underappreciated.
A Juniata hot take is the best thing to wear to class is Crocs.
Marin Swain, come on. Thanks.
Gold card should be on your phone.
Baker is the best food spot in all of Huntington.
Yeah. Fisher's is the best place for lunch on campus.
That is good hot take. We just came from there. The food looks very good.
Can we see?
Here, I'll give you a nice little close up. Nice little pepperoni pizza here, flatbread.
Come on, let's go. Let's go, Max.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Oh.
Traffic. Hey guys, it's Danny, and today we're going to be figuring out how well our students know our faculty and staff. This is Two Truths and a Lie. Let's go, come on. And what do you think Jim Tootin's lie is?
Number 3. I think that his lie is that he met his wife Belle Tootin at Juniata.
You are correct. What do you think Randy's lie is?
I believe that he hasn't visited all 7 continents.
I don't think Randy has visited all 7 continents.
You are correct, that is the lie.
I'm gonna go with he can't float.
That is wrong. And what do you think Dean Damshorter's lie is?
That he shares an astrological sign with Provost Bowen.
Studied abroad in a communist country.
We said it was the third one, which is shares an astrological sign with Provost Bowen.
I think the lie is number 2.
You are correct, that is the lie. What do you think Lynn's lie is?
She was an English major.
She was the president of her junior class.
You are correct, that is the lie.
So she only went on 2 dates in college.
And which one do you think Coach A's lie is?
We think it's number 2. Played guitar for 14 years. It's not true.
You guys are wrong.
He's only lived in 2 states.
I believe the lie for Coach A is play 2 collegiate sports.
You are correct, that is the lie.
W's.
Which one do you think his lie is?
Derek has never driven from Michigan to Las Vegas.
I don't think he visited Michael B. Jordan's house. You are correct, that is the lie. Let's move on, trick. Cookie break. What do you think Coach P's lie is?
Graduated at 18. Ridden an elephant, a camel, but not a horse.
You are correct, that is the lie. And which one do you think Tracy's lie is? Was a radio DJ.
I think Tracy never hiked or climbed Denali.
You are correct, that is the lie.
Was a radio DJ.
That's actually wrong. The lie is the second one.
What? That's the most normal one.
Thanks for watching Two Truths and a Lie. We'll see you next week.
Storming of the Arch is where all the brave freshmen try to get through the rugby team and get their way into the arch. If they make it, they get a prize, but no one's ever made it through.
No one made it.
Start walking. Hey Steffi, are you going to mountain day?
I have practice first. I'll be there later.
Where is everybody?
Hey, Danny.
Hey, Ahad. Happy Mountain Day.
Happy Mountain Day. Got my little picnic bag. Do you have sunscreen back?
Yeah.
Do you have sunglasses?
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you even bring anything, or?
Have a sip of your water.
Ahad, really?
Do you have swim trunks?
Hey, Max, can you take my picture?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
A little to the right, the other way. Maybe do another pose.
Okay, Max, I think this is enough.
No, I'm trying to get the money shot.
What? You want ox?
Down!
Ox?
Down!
Yeah, you got it. You got ox. Ox. What the heck?
Top 3 places. Addie is going to share the People's Choice Award winner.
Thank you, everybody. I'm honored tonight to announce this year's People's Choice Award is Nicole Montes Perez. Congratulations, and please come get your prize.
Over here, Sarah. Okay. Whew, here we go. Before I begin, let me call out and just embarrass him because he was mentioned previously, but my predecessor, President Keppel, is in the audience tonight. Served this institution for 15 incredible years. Tom Keppel, please, President Keppel, please stand so we can say thank you. Appreciate you being here tonight. Okay, we ready? Yes, I've done this a couple of times, yeah. Sarah's just making sure I'm doing this right. All right, here we go. In third place, and $500 goes to Adithia Comey, class of 27. Congratulations. In second place, and our runner-up in the 2026 Bailey is Drew Perhamus, class of 26. And our winner, the 2026, and in our 150th year here, the winner is John V. Patel. How about one more round of applause for all of our contestants this evening? Yeah. Thank you again to all of our contestants. Thank you, Juniata, for showing up tonight. We appreciate your presence, and have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. Our winners, we need you up here.